What's up, Legends? We're back to discuss episode 3 of Disney's brand new Star Wars series, Skeleton Crew. The episode picks up where the children and the mysterious Jod Na Wood, basically Captain Silvo, are escaping from the brig in the pirate spaceport. Their escape appears to be a bit too easy, and one of the children makes that exact remark. So they get back to the ship, but the children insist that they have to go back for the droid SM-33. And by the way, I didn't put this together, but many people have figured out that SM-33, sort of like SMEE, Mr. Smee, kind of a cool reference there. Now, Captain Silvo, he doesn't seem to care much for droids. In fact, he views them mostly as the help. But the kids kind of appeal to his ego and get him to go and retrieve the droid for them. So he sneaks back, and while rescuing the droid, he actually is spotted by one of his old shipmates, and I think he's hoping that he's not going to turn him in. He tells him, hey, I think I found this big score that I'm going after. But the shipmate actually does sound the alarm and puts Silvo on the run and eventually gets back to the ship. So there's a little bit of a struggle there, but they eventually escape into hyperspace. Now, back on At-Aten, we actually see this at the opening of the episode. We see the parents who are very worried about their children, and they petition to the government, and basically the droids who kind of speak for the government, or essentially the supervisor, to hopefully contact the Republic and bring their kids home. But the request is rejected because apparently it's forbidden for anyone to leave the planet or have contact with the outside world. Now, Silvo and the children are on the way to meet this contact of Silvo's who he believes can help locate their home planet of At-Aten. Now, it's made clear that all the kids, all except for Wim, don't completely trust Captain Silvo, or Jod as he's called himself. But here we see actually a little bit more than we've seen so far from KB, who just completely does not trust him. In fact, she can't even sleep a wink because she's just worried about what's going to happen. So they finally arrive on this distant moon where they're meeting Silvo's contact, which ends up being a female owl-like creature named Kim. Now, she refers to him not by Jod or by Captain Silvo, but by a different name, Crimson Jack. Kim actually believes the kids' claims about At-Aten and questions the children and searches her database until they finally pinpoint the exact planet where it could be. She reveals that there were several planets back in the Old Republic that were completely hidden from the rest of the galaxy, and all of them had basically been destroyed except for one, which was At-Aten, and that's the one that she believes that these kids are from. Now, at this point, a couple of X-Wings show up overhead. It turns out that Kim had double-crossed Silvo, thinking that the kids were in danger and basically calling the New Republic to come assist. Silvo quickly steals the data chip containing the coordinates for this lost planet, and they escape out. But before they leave in the ship, the kids demand answers from Silvo because he seems to be a wanted man and he doesn't seem to be who he says he is. Now, Silvo doesn't share very much here, but he does state that he never actually claimed to be a Jedi like they assumed. But in spite of this, the children still believe he is their best hope for getting home. So they lift off in the ship, and Silvo has the kids basically manning the ship. They have one kid steering, they have the other two kids firing at the cannons. So they do finally escape into hyperspace, and that's the end of the episode. So now let me share my thoughts on episode 3. But real quick before we do, if you're enjoying the content so far, would you do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe below to support the channel. Now, I think the first thing I notice about this episode is that Jude Law really adds a lot to this show. Not only is he a great actor himself, but I think he actually elevates the performances of a lot of the other cast, including the kids. Now, even before I watched this episode, when I was kind of just reflecting on the last 2 episodes over this week, when I thought about his character, I was like, you know what? They're probably going to make him like Long John Silver. The way he's this mysterious character who wants to help the good guys, but also was a part of the old pirate crew, it just kind of fits. And so far, that seems to be the direction they're going in for his character. Now, honestly, it's a little bit on the nose in my opinion, the fact that they call him Captain Silvo, Captain Silver, but hey, it is what it is. Now, what I thought they would do with this character is kind of make you trust him to the point to where he maybe double crosses them later in the season, but that's not quite the direction they took it. The way they actually approach his character is they give you some reason to trust him, but then other reasons not to trust him, and I think you're supposed to be conflicted the whole way through. And this is contrasted very nicely between the character of Wim, who is just all excited to finally meet a Jedi, and he trusts this guy completely because he saved them. But then on the other hand, you have KB, who is completely skeptical and doesn't trust him at all. And they use the dialogue between the kids to kind of almost express what the audience thinks as they're watching. For instance, when they're escaping the port, it does kind of feel a little bit too easy the way they get out. But instead of just leaving it at that, they actually have, I think it's Fern who says, "That was too easy." And it's similar with the whole idea of him being a Jedi. I kind of appreciate that they don't just expect us to accept that he's a Jedi. They almost expect us to question it a little bit. And we know that by their dialogue, because at one point they're kind of talking back and forth like, well, obviously he's a Jedi. How do you make that key float? And then one of the kids is like, well, it could be magnets, it could be repulsors, it could be string. So honestly, I think the writers are toying with us. I think they want us to feel that conflict of, I don't know, can we trust what he's saying or not? Honestly, even the fact that he told us at the end that, hey, I never said I was a Jedi, he actually, in that statement, doesn't actually deny being a Jedi. He just says he never said he was. So it's possible that he still could be. And remember, even though they supposedly revealed that he's not a Jedi, they didn't really explain exactly how he was able to use those force powers, if they're actually force powers to begin with. It's kind of interesting because we're just not quite clear on his intentions, where on one hand he tells the kids that he's not after treasure, but then to his shipmate later on he says that he found a really big score that he's pursuing. And the fact that his shipmate at that point basically sounds the alarm on him and they kind of chase him out of the port leads us to believe that he is kind of working on his own, but then again, we don't know that for sure. Yeah, so I really like the way they're approaching it. It feels like there is a little bit of mystery within this, but it also doesn't appear that they're going to lead up to this huge reveal plot twist that we're all going to guess before the end of the show. I think it's actually better sometimes when you don't have that. And speaking of mystery, we do start to learn a little bit more about the mystery of At-Aten. First of all, it's confirmed what I had mentioned in my last video, that it seems like the planet has been completely shielded from the influence of the Empire. It sounds like the people there don't even know that a war ever existed. As far as they know, they're still living in the Old Republic. It's also revealed that the barrier that they keep talking about around the planet is some sort of nebula gas, which is actually shielding the planet. In my last video, I think I had guessed it might be like a cloaking device, but hey, close enough. But what else is interesting about the planet is that the people there seem to be incredibly sheltered, not just from the rest of the world, but even within their own community. You can see this with the way the parents kind of expect the government to come to their aid and fix the problem. Fern's mom even remarks that when she was a kid, oh, the safety droids, they always found us, you know, they've always been looking out for us, so they're gonna figure it out. It seems to be somewhat of a utopian society where people just go about living their lives in harmony. However, it may actually be a little bit of a Matrix sort of situation where they're actually kind of slaves and they're actually very confined to this set way of doing things. But their freedom seem to be very limited in the name of safety and security. And also in the name of this thing they keep calling the Great Work, which we don't know exactly what that is. All we know is that every person in the society is assigned a job to do, and they're all apparently working towards this one goal. So we have a lot more to learn about the Great Work in future episodes. A couple more things I loved about the episode. The visual effects are still stunning. I especially loved when they got to that moon, which seemed to be around a Jupiter looking planet. Like, that just looked really cool. And of course, in these episodes, there's always some cool Easter eggs they throw in there, and I'm sure there's a ton that I missed myself. But one that I definitely noticed, of course, was the battle droid when Silvo is going to retrieve the droid for the ship. Oh, and another part from that scene that I thought was kind of funny is he's kind of waking up the different droids to figure out which is the correct one, and one of them basically wakes up and says, "Oh, the prince is in danger, gotta save the prince." It just has me thinking that out there somewhere there's this other adventure going on apart from the whole Skywalker trilogy of some prince that's in danger. It's almost like a parallel universe to Princess Leia. Anyway, I thought it was kind of funny. And come to think of it, that might actually be an Easter egg. I don't know. Is that the same droid from like the little Droids cartoon from back in the 90s? Yeah, that'd be interesting. Let me know in the comments if you know the answer to that. And now, as someone who has kids, in particular I have daughters, I definitely thought it was funny the one part where the girl says, "But I'm not even tired," and then the next moment she's just fast asleep. That's definitely real life. And lastly, I love the part towards the end where Wim finally gets his chance to shine. He finally gets to man the gunner on the ship. That was pretty cool, just to see his excitement. It kind of brings out the kid in you to see that. Now, I will say my only complaint from the episode is just kind of a missed opportunity that I saw, in my opinion, for the character of Kim. Honestly, I think they should have replaced her with Maz Kanata. Like, honestly, the characters, they acted kind of similar anyway. And I don't know, there might be something canonically that makes that not work, but I thought that could have been a cool cameo because we've never really seen Maz Kanata outside of The Force Awakens. So, yeah, anyway. Overall, a really great episode. I'm really enjoying this show so far, and from watching other reviews online, it sounds like a lot of people are enjoying this one, which is a nice thing to see for the Star Wars community. But guys, make sure you subscribe below so you don't miss our recap and review of episode 4 next week. Please hit that like button and check out one of our other videos here on screen next. And lastly, I want to let you know that no matter what you're going through, you are not alone. God is with you and he loves you, and we do too. I'll catch you next time.